Hello friends, today's topic is rich people culture. Let's rant.
What the fuck is a granite ice cube? Sometimes as a designer, I get to attend events that are a little bit outside of my tax bracket, if you will. And the other day I went to this event, and afterwards they gave us a little gift, and inside that gift was 2 cocktail glasses and a tray of granite ice cubes. I live in Utah, and granite is pretty plentiful around here. Like, you're telling me people are paying for rocks to put in their drinks when I could just go outside and grab one? Anyway, I have them. I don't know how to use them, but, like, rich people piss me off.
There's so many birds in this area. Like, do people not like birds? I just don't understand the concept of a rich person. And I technically am a rich person. But I don't understand you bitches. Like, you don't want to spend time outside. You want to be isolated from the world. Why? And then you want to be better than them by having some nice fabric. It's not even nice quality, honestly, these luxury brands. It's just like shit quality. And then just to do what? Have a fancy watch that you're not even gonna fucking look at. Because you're gonna be on your phone. And then just feel lonelier. What the fuck is that? There's a fucking tree right here, dude. Hello?
Do you know that most rich people, you know why they're rich? Because they use coupons. They use discounts. They don't overpay for shit. They ask for a discount on everything. So you got to have no shame in your game. You got to use those coupons. You got to use whatever the deal is, because at the end of the day, if you're saving money, it's exactly the same as making money, and it's little to no effort. So hope this helps.
And actually last year, when the trend was becoming popular of this is my type in high school and this is my type now, when that was becoming a thing, I actually came out with a video on my Snapchat saying how much that bothered me, because black men are not a trend, and you guys like them because of what you think that they come with. You think that they're all hood, you think that they all have big dicks, that they're all some type of way. You don't like them for who they are, you like what they come with, or how it makes you look, because you're dating a black man. But you don't know how to tie a do-rag, but you don't know how to twist their hair, you don't even know how to give them a fade. You don't even know what products go in their hair, but you want mixed babies. I said that as white women, if you say that you like black men, take the time to learn how to do that stuff. Instead of paying $40+ to go get his hair cut or get it twisted or watch him struggle how to tie his do-rag, you can do it yourself. If you're not willing to learn, then you shouldn't be dating black men.
I wish I was rich. How about you?
Here are some culture shocks that I had as someone who grew up poor who's now dating and living with someone who grew up with money. Firstly is the fact that rich people don't consider themselves rich because they surround themselves with people who are much richer than them. When I first met my girlfriend, she was like, oh yeah, like I grew up middle class. And I was like, well, I mean, I grew up poor with a single mom who would camouflage our money and food struggles by orchestrating picnic night. Basically, she'd make green beans and butter and we were allowed to eat on the living room floor. I was made hyper aware of our money struggles and the fact that my father didn't pay child support. But then before starting high school, my mother met my stepfather, and then we became pretty much middle class. But even though we technically weren't poor anymore, we still acted poor because we were hyper money aware. We never bought anything new. We had an old used family car. I had to pay for my own school. I started working at 13. But within my very low income village, I was still considered pretty well off. My girlfriend was like, oh, I mean, like, we lived in a pretty big house. We had a live-in nanny, a maid. Each of my 5 family members had their own car. We'd go on multiple family vacations a year. Been to Hawaii so many times I can't even recall. Private education, paid college, paid apartment, paid car, never had to work until after college, and the list goes on. And I remember being like, what type of middle class are you talking about? It's amazing that she was able to live this life, but it made me realize that everything is relative. Because although per my standard, that qualifies as rich, she was by far not the richest person at her school, in her neighborhood, in her group of friends. So to her, she was actually middle class because she had never really come into contact with people who were properly poor or even properly middle class. She had only ever really been exposed to people within her own community who were well off until she went to college. And thankfully my girlfriend girlfriend was raised with good values by great people and she has an amazing heart, but she told me that that was the first time that she realized that she had been living in a bubble. Because had she grown up in my village with that lifestyle, she would have been considered even more than rich. I think that that's why a lot of rich people tend to say we're comfortable, not we're rich. Because they don't think that they are, since they know people who, per their standards, are actually rich. Basically, everything is relative.
I have this theory about why New York wealthy people and California wealthy people are so different. And this is from someone who came from the very wealthy areas of California. So I was recently talking to my mom about this because she was a bit flustered after coming from a dinner with some New Yorkers, couples, and one of them was like super crass and like clearly had money, but they were just like really unsophisticated, had like no cultural capital, and she was just like, I've never experienced people like this before. And she's not new to this world. Like, for context, like, she had, like, a friend who was literally a billionaire. Her husband was on the cover of Forbes and, like, would ask her to, like, come to Paris with me on my private jet tomorrow to go shopping. But anyway, I was telling her that this is very New York because in California, people are builders, typically, while in New York, people are brokers. And the industry of New York is so big that just by nature of being here and you're a broker, you're going to make a lot of money. You don't have to be smart or kind of super skilled or anything. And in California, there's no really adjacent industry like that where you can just become super successful kind of based off of just the nature of being in that space. So typically you're someone who was like super smart in whatever individual field you're in and have just kind of made it to the top. That also breeds a level of kind of cultural capital that you don't necessarily have to have in New York to be wealthy. And from being in the city almost 10 years, I have just noticed that throughout time. Not saying there are not super intelligent New Yorkers, like, no, there are. But just as a baseline, being wealthy doesn't automatically give you all those things here. Well, in California, there's a bit more of it, I'd say. But I don't know. Anyone else have any thoughts about that?
Something that was a huge culture shock for me when I went to my private high school for the first time and being around rich people for the first time was that being generous is not part of, like, rich culture. Perhaps a cute generosity is, you'll shell out $1,000, you shell out $15,000, $50,000, whatever, one time for whatever cause you want, right? That's a cute generosity. And that's really great still. But chronic generosity isn't there. I grew up around mainly poor Asian and Latinx folks, and we would always take care of each other, always. I'd go to my friends' houses, their parents would cook me dinner. I was never expected to pay them back. I'd eat out with them and I'd always offer to pay them back, but they refused always. They always wanted to take care of me. So in high school, I did the same thing. I'd offer to pay back for a meal or something. And these rich parents would expect me to pay them back. Me, a 14-year-old, 15-year-old with no job. And it really threw me off. Like I was shocked.
One day we all will be there. Hopefully. Thank you for watching. Until next video, bye.